You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting. The best in paranormal talk radio.
This is Ghost Talk with 187 PI. Sit back and prepare yourselves for an adventure into the paranormal world with host Shelly Robertson and 187 PI research team. Ghost Talk is broadcasting live from Ohio's most haunted jail. Learn about their ongoing research at the jail and abroad, investigation techniques, and their personal encounters. Here is your host of Ghost Talk and 187 PI founder, Shelly Robertson.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson. And tonight I have in custody here at the old Paulding County Jail, Kristen Boyd.
Hey, everybody.
We have a fantastic show planned for you tonight, and we're going to be discussing haunted roads. So, most of you, I'm sure, has heard of a haunted road, highway, or avenue around your area. Maybe you even grew up with, mumbled rumors of a haunted road in your town, that as a teen, you may even attempted to venture out to it just to see if the stories were indeed true. Well, this segment, we will be discussing such roads. Some are in small towns. Some of them are just lanes, some of them are streets, while others are huge winding highways and routes that stretch over many miles and through multiple states. While we will only be covering a few roads tonight, there are literally hundreds across the United States. Most often, these roads are sites of tragic and horrific events, such as deaths by murder or suicide, and even accidents. Needless to say, this show is going to be very interesting, and it may even make you think twice when you're traveling on some of these lonely country roads especially. The first one is Shades of Death Road, and that's in New Jersey, okay? Periodically, this road is blanketed with an unnatural thick fog that rises off the nearby Ghost Lake. Yes, that's what it's called, Ghost Lake. This 2-lane road is 7 miles of terror, so they say. It is said that you can imagine something terrible occurring just by sensing it. And probably it even has occurred. Legend says that a group of people that refused to live within normal establishments of society, they took to making these woods in the area their home. They were so cruel that it is said they often murdered anyone that attempted to encroach on their area, including their own people. All of these terrible murders help to create the many apparitions and odd occurrences that take place while traveling down this stretch of road. If that alone wasn't enough, in the 1920s and early 1930s, Shades of Death Road was also the site of at least 3 brutal murders. One included a man that had his head caved in by a tire iron. And that happened all over just a few gold coins. Something to kill somebody over, right? And in another one, there was this woman. She beheaded her husband and buried both parts of his body on the opposite sides of the road. Now, that is vengeance, right? That is, wrath there. Lastly, a local resident by the name of Bill Cummins. He was brutally murdered by being shot to death and buried in a roadside mud pile. His murderer was never found. Now, on the nights when the road is coated in a dense, thick fog, it is claimed that many people have seen apparitions walking amongst the darkness. Others claim that they have also seen these figures on nights the fog is clear. But if one attempts to approach any of these apparitions, they quickly vanish into thin air. Whispering voices can also be heard for those who are brave enough to get out of their vehicles and wander around the area. And if you wander over to Ghost Lake, you may see for yourself the many claims of the figures that appear to be walking on the surface of the water. Now that I would like to see.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to travel next to Archer Avenue in Chicago.
Oh, Chicago.
Well, this particular stretch of road lies between Resurrection Cemetery and St. James Sag Church.
And we know a lot about Resurrection Cemetery. Very haunted location.
Well, it weaves its way through forests, lakes, and above all, multiple graveyards. Ghostly monks are said to haunt the areas around the church itself, while the Gray Baby lurks around the Sacred Heart Cemetery. Phantom horse riders are known to be seen crossing the street at 95th and Keene. But the most noted haunted tales is that of Resurrection Mary herself.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Well, Chicago's Resurrection Mary is one of the most known vanishing hikers ever to exist. Reports of her scaring drivers on Archer Avenue have been documented since the 1930s, and with her consistent appearances, she actually shows no signs of slowing those sightings down.
Yes, and there's still reports seeing her, I do believe.
It's a long existence of sightings, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to legend, Mary is the spirit of a teenage girl who, after getting into a fight with her boyfriend at a local dance, decided to walk home late that night alone. Well, after less than 1 mile, she was struck by an oncoming vehicle and killed. Unfortunately, the driver fled the scene and was never found.
Horrible.
Now, Mary's parents, beyond grief-stricken, laid her to rest in the Resurrection Cemetery in the same dress that she wore the night of her murder.
I wonder if it was bloody.
I don't know, that would be hard.
Yes, I think so.
Well, there have been an undeniable amount of claims for people of seeing Mary on the side of the road along Archer Avenue. Some accounts even say that when someone stops to give her a ride, she sits silently, never speaking the entire ride. But once they approach Resurrection Cemetery, she promptly disappears from the vehicle, notably scaring the daylights out of unsuspecting drivers.
Oh, yeah, and there was a cab driver who reported once that he picked her up, and she told him to take her to where they held the dance when she died.
Really?
Yes, and when he got there was nobody in the car.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know,
That was
right?
startling, just a little bit.
Yeah. Next, we're going to move on to Route 2A in Maine. Route 2A runs through the town of Haynesville and has been a death trap for years, so much so that a song was even written about it, and it was called A Tombstone Every Mile.
Nice.
Have you heard that song?
I have not.
I don't think I've heard it. I don't think so. Needless to say, with all the deaths this road has piled up over the years, it's only natural that some ghost stories would evolve from it, wouldn't you say?
Yep.
One of the most common stories includes a woman begging people who dare to stop for them to help her and her husband after having a terrible car accident on the side of the road. So if you choose to stop and help her, it is said you will be overcome with a deep, dark chill, and the woman then disappears, obviously leaving the unsuspected motorist startled and confused. I'm wondering if the car is part of this as well.
That'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah, and if that disappears, some other common occurrences of ghost sighting involves a young girl who was evidently killed by a semi while walking down the road. It is said she has nearly caused many accidents when she pops up near oncoming vehicles just out of nowhere. And as a side note, this story appears to have a valid basis behind it because back in 1967, 2 young girls around the age of 10 wandered off and was walking down this road, and they were struck and killed by a semi. So one of that apparition may be one of those little girls.
Unfortunately.
Sure.
Well, our next haunting is on Prospectors Road in California.
Ooh, out west.
Well, this legend of this road involves only a single ghost who was a murder victim from the California Gold Rush era. Now, during this time, bragging about riches was far from acceptable, which I can imagine.
Yes.
And in fact, it is said that the gold miners would even kill fellow diggers who were braggers of their great findings.
Holy cow. So if you found some gold, you keep quiet.
Yeah, keep your mouth shut.
Uh-huh.
Well, this particular ghost enjoys scaring passerbys by speaking to them from the bushes. I mean, could you imagine just walking past bushes and someone talking to you?
Yeah.
Well, his most known phrase is, "Get off my claim."
Oh, geez.
So evidently, he's still a little protective of his land and those riches that it may possess.
Wow. I think that would be like a little weird because when you go looking in the bush, who's in the bush?
I think I would.
Okay, folks, now we're going to drive on to Boy Scout Lane in Wisconsin. This 3-mile stretch of road has many dark rumors swirling around it, folks. It crosses through a densely wooded area. This unpaved lane was originally intended to lead to a campground that was to be built by the Boy Scouts of America, okay? However, of course there's always a however, right?
Always.
The project was never completed, nor even started for that matter. So obviously this was just a thought at the time.
Yeah, evidently.
Legend states that a troop of scouts ventured into these dense woods for a camping trip in the late 1950s or early 1960s, and they were never to return. Many different stories circulated about their disappearance, but none of these stories were ever validated. Today, travelers of the lane have reported all different manners of unexplained experiences, ranging from hearing labored footsteps through the woods, but never actually finding the source to them, nobody's around, to seeing red lights flashing from between the trees. So, needless to say, not many attempt to venture down this lane because it's spooky and scares people.
Well, just knowing that an entire troop of scouts disappeared with no evidence, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, what happened to him? Maybe the troop leader was a serial killer.
You never know. You never know. Well, next, our travels take us to Clinton Road, New Jersey.
Jersey.
Obviously, New Jersey has several haunted roads worth sharing.
Oh, yes.
Well, this one, in particular, is often referred to as the country's most haunted stretch of road.
Ooh.
The 9.3-mile road is a twisted path that winds through the heavy northeastern woods, which, if anyone is familiar with the paranormal lore, it is also associated with the Jersey Devil.
Oh, I've heard about that.
I have too. Well, the road itself is extremely dangerous, being pitch black at night with no street lights to help guide the way, and it is full of sharp, hairpin turns and old stone walls dating back to colonial times.
Fascinating during the day it would be, right?
It would be a great ride.
Mm-hmm.
Well, ghostly sightings on this stretch of road are many, but the most common include reports of phantom headlights that follow dangerously close behind the drivers before disappearing into thin air, leaving drivers startled and hearts pounding. Other sightings include witnessing red glowing eyes staring out at you from the woods while driving by. And once you reach Ghost Boy Bridge, where the road crosses Clinton Brook, legend says any change tossed into the water below will be tossed back by the little boy who is reported to haunt that spot.
Holy cow, maybe if I toss him a dime, he'll toss me back a quarter.
Hey, that'd be a good exchange.
Yeah. Well, that'd be kind of freaky if that actually did happen, right?
It would.
Have the money tossed back to you?
Huh?
Next, on to our haunted road route is the Devil's Promenade in Missouri. Along this predominantly empty Midwestern path comes a phenomena that is said that not even the U.S. Army Corps had been able to truly explain. It has been dubbed the spook light and sightings. Now, this also dates back more than 100 years, folks. The spook light is described as a fiery ball that is reportedly anywhere from the size of a baseball to the size of a basketball. Now, it is best seen, they say, between the hours of 10 p.m. to midnight. Now, according to the locals, this light is also known to streak wildly along the path, leaving only bewildered witnesses and even more questions in its mysterious wake. So what, it's like somebody's playing kickball?
I don't know, with a ball of light?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, moving on, we venture on to Route 44 in Massachusetts. It is well known everywhere that it is never a good idea to pick up a hitchhiker, but is an especially bad idea to do so on Route 44. Now, for over 3 decades, drivers have claimed to encounter a bearded man with dark eyes who resembles the victim of a previous deadly car crash.
Oh, my.
So it is said, if you must take this route, take as many passengers as you can. He is said to just mysteriously appear in empty back seats.
Oh, that would be spooky.
Oh, I'm afraid I would wreck. And of course, it's going to scare the daylights out of the drivers.
Of course.
Well, once he decides to disappear as quickly as he showed up, it is said that your car radio will squawk with static and that your car will begin to shake.
Oh, Jesus.
It has even been reported that as he disappears, you can hear his menacing laughter through the static of the radio. So drivers, beware.
That would be like really freaky, wouldn't it?
A little bit, especially at nighttime.
Furthering on our haunted road travels, we come to Mount Misery and Sweet Hollow Road in New York. These 2 winding roads, they're surrounded by woods that are just less than a mile apart, and it's in Long Island, New York. And it's well known for their many odd disturbances. The strange stories on these roads have been circulating since before the American Revolution. Even Native American tribes has described this land as being cursed. Now, there is said to be a lady in white, and then there's ladies of whites everywhere.
Everywhere.
And she's known to roam occasionally on both sides of the road. She was said to be a patient at a small mental hospital that resided on the grounds back in the 1700s. She has been known to startle many drivers by jumping in front of their cars while driving down these dark, curvy roads.
Yikes.
Yeah, right? And if that wasn't enough, she has also been reported to stall some vehicles to prevent them from running her over. So just stop your vehicle in its tracks. That would be frightening, I think.
Yeah, just having your vehicle stop
Yes.
after seeing a figure like that.
Another legend surrounding these roads involves a police officer. It is said that if a policeman pulls you over, you need to check the back of his head. Why?
Interesting.
Yes. Well, because if his skull is missing,
Wow.
you have met yet another ghost that resides on these roads. There are also reports of seeing a man walking along the road when it rains. If you attempt to stop to pick him up, he disappears before your eyes, leaving most of his onlookers pretty baffled.
I would be baffled.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more baffled by the fact of having a police officer with a missing skull.
yeah, right? And with that, folks, we will be right back after this short break with more Ghost Talk. You're listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... nope.
That'll do. Hello, I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
23 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio. With me is your host, Shelly Robertson, and joining me tonight is Kristen Boyd. If y'all just tuned in, we invite you to join us in chat at WBHM-DB.com, where you can ask us any questions you may have, or you can tell us of any haunted roads that you may know of. If you missed the first part of the show, no worries, folks. You can catch our full show archive on Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, and iHeartRadio at your leisure. Now, before the break, we were discussing haunted roads. So, where are we going to travel next, Kristen?
One of my favorites, and it is widely known, widely popular road that carries with it many ghostly sightings, strange occurrences, and a lot of personal encounters from the many travelers that have driven this route. This is called Route 666.
Not only that, I think there was murders on that road too.
I do believe. Well, this 193-mile stretch of road has been referred to as the Devil's Highway.
Yes.
Due to the uncanniness of its name, of course. It is most known for the many lives lost at the high amount of paranormal activity.
You're thinking about your personal...
My personal experiences.
Yeah.
That has been reported over the years. This road stretches through Utah, Arizona, Colorado, and New Mexico. The road name has been changed in recent years due to complaints from people within all 4 states. The biggest stretch of this road is now known as Highway 491 and 191. But unfortunately, the name change has not stopped the deaths from occurring, nor the untold number of ghostly sightings that are still being reported today.
Right.
Well, some of the most popular complaints when traveling down this route is the sightings of ghostly hitchhikers walking along the highway and strange bolts of lights that show up out of nowhere.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that, the lights. Too.
But the scariest of the most popular encounters would be what is referred to as the serial killer.
Actually, there was really a serial killer who was killing people on this stretch of road way, way back. So
I think I recall that, but I don't remember the name. Well, the serial killer appears to be an out-of-control tractor-trailer that is emblazed in an inferno that comes barreling straight at you.
Oh, boy.
I know that was scary. Then right before it crashes into you, it just suddenly disappears into thin air, obviously leaving the unfortunate ones to witness this scared for their lives.
And maybe they pee their pants.
I would probably be one of those.
Yes.
The unfortunate travelers that dare to stop alongside the highway to stretch their legs and get a breath of fresh air have filed reports on what appears to be a pack of demon dogs.
Oh, them again, huh?
Now, they have been said to have yellow eyes, loud, piercing howls, and sharp-fanged teeth, scaring the travelers quickly back to their vehicles to speed off into the night. Probably, unfortunately, to encounter something else if they continue on that route.
Oh, absolutely.
Reports from all 4 states have included the sightings of a woman dressed in a white nightgown.
There is the woman in white again.
Walking down the highway. Well, this ghost woman has been sighted and reported by thousands of witnesses.
Yes, just like all the rest.
Now, it is said that she literally appears out of nowhere and vanishes quickly if anyone stops to assist her. Now, there have been accounts where she reappears at different locations alongside this highway to the same driver across the states of Utah to New Mexico.
So she just picks somebody and follows
Wow.
along.
Across 4 states. That's just crazy. So something that can be considered quite scary is the fact that time loss seems to occur on this highway more frequently than anyone would like to admit.
That is a little more than just ghostly. That could be alien abductions.
Yes, it could be. And there are lots of reports of that kind of stuff that goes on as well.
Out west, absolutely.
Well, in some cases reported, people have been known to disappear for a short period of time and again reappear with no recollection of their time missing, nor what even had occurred to them.
Right, and that's what they suspect the people get abducted by aliens.
Yes, disappearing and then not remembering anything.
Yes.
Well, even the Native Americans living around the area have stories that involve this road. One includes an apparition that likes to suddenly appear within your vehicle when driving, causing many motorists to swerve and wreck. They also report strange orbs being seen floating across the highway, especially to lone travelers late at night. There are even legends of shapeshifters and skinwalkers.
And we are back to Alienation.
So this route has a little bit of everything involved.
Yes.
So they appear also out of nowhere, scaring the drivers and causing them to veer into oncoming traffic.
Jeez.
This actually has been reported to be the cause of many unexplained accidents along certain parts of this highway. Now, this haunted and evil highway, it's even captured the attention of many news media, ranging from USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, and even has been displayed as a cartoon segment in the New Yorkers.
Oh, wow.
Even better, this highway has been in a movie entitled Route 666, and one of my all-time favorites, appeared in Supernatural in an episode during season 1.
Fabulous.
Now, unfortunately, Route 666, even after being renamed, will forever be in the minds of the people that have directly been affected by its ghostly and sometimes menacing ways.
Wow, that is something. I think we have Brenda in chat. She was telling us about, she picked up a ghost passing the Civil War cemetery in Cassville, Georgia.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I mean, I believe it, but wow.
Yeah.
And she said that it made the hair on the back of her neck stood up when she glanced in the rearview mirror.
Yep.
Was it in your car, Brenda? Holy smokes.
Now, I can say that I've never had this actually happen to me.
You never had a rider?
I've never had a rider, and I think I kind of prefer it that way. I don't want to wreck.
Yeah, she said, whoever it was, they just wanted to take a short ride.
I needed to get somewhere quick.
Right. Okay, moving up north, we find ourselves on Seven Gables Road in Michigan. Back to Michigan, they get a lot of hauntings up there.
I've noticed that as well.
Especially around the Chicago area. This road is in Dansville, Michigan, and it's less than a mile long, but it is considered to be the most haunted road in Michigan. There are rumors, like there's always rumors, Shania.
Always.
But this road at one time had a house that resided at its end. And this house was inhabited by a family of 6, which were all said to have died at the hands of a murderer. Each one of the family members were hung.
Wow.
Now, legend goes on that after the murderer hung the family, the murderer took their own life after setting fire to the house. There are additional rumors of murders and suicides taking place along this road path as well. So in less than a mile long, we've got lots of killings for some reason.
Doesn't sound like a very nice road to travel.
No. Throughout the years, some people have ventured down this road and reported terrifying happenings ranging from the general feeling of uneasiness to sightings of blood-covered women in white gowns. The ladies in white are blood-covered now.
They are so popular.
Now, one theory behind this road is that the land was once cursed by a witch. I mean, we got to get it from somewhere, right?
Right.
Then, when the family of 6 moved in, the father began acting strange as if he were possessed. His insanity grew, and it eventually led him to kill his entire family, to which he then set the house on fire, and then he hung himself. So one version was it was a murderer,
Yep.
and another version was it was the father of the family. Now, the land is said to still be haunted by this curse. And if you dare enter the land and you should hear a scream, it is said that you better leave right away or death will seek you out.
If that's the case, I will run.
And it is reported from some that investigated the land that they have seen faces, and some of them have heard a little girl in the trees. Others have claimed to have heard faint screams, seen a child standing off in the shadows, hearing heavy breathing, smelling burning flesh.
Oh,
I don't know about you.
unpleasant.
I do not know what burning flesh smells like, but I'm sure it can't be good.
No, very unpleasant, I'm sure.
And one individual even claimed to have been choked by an invisible hand.
Damn.
Somebody actually got choked. So, my advice, folks, do not travel this road alone if you travel it at all.
Well, traveling back to our own state brings us to Dead Man's Curve in Claremont County, Ohio.
There's lots of dead man's curves.
I've heard of several as
Yeah.
well. Now, this stretch of road first opened in 1831 and was nicknamed Dead Man's Curve because it turned so sharply that carriages would often go over the edge.
Huh.
Even though the road was widened and the curve smoothed out in the late 1960s, its name only grew more notorious.
So people still...
Traveled it way too fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, in 1969, a horrific crash between a Chevy Impala and a Plymouth Roadrunner.
My parents had a Roadrunner back in them days. I was just a tiny little kid.
My dad had a Chevy Impala.
That's funny.
But this horrible, horrible wreck killed 5 teenagers. Now, since then, locals claim to have seen the apparitions of the 2 vehicles speeding through the area. Phantom carriages have also been reported by many.
Oh.
However, the most well-known specter known by locals is the faceless hitchhiker. Dressed in all black, he appears in full detail to the onlooker except for his face.
Wow.
Now, where his face should be, there is, well, literally nothing.
Nothing.
There is no features at all. It is just blank. Now, I don't know about you, but that would scare the daylights out of me.
That would be like, wouldn't you want to get a stick and poke at it?
You want to figure out what's going on.
What is that?
Well, he only usually sticks his thumb out for a ride, but sometimes, oh goodness, sometimes he throws himself in front of the cars, and then this gives me the creeps reading it. And then he tries to climb aboard when the vehicle stops.
Oh.
That would be horrific. Horrific.
Oh, my.
And I know I must admit that this is not a figure that I would ever want to encounter.
Well, I think if a ghost climbed on top of the car.
After throwing itself in front of me with having no face.
It would be a little startling, that is for sure.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'll tell you what, our next haunted road trip continues on to Timberlake Road in Minnesota. This road during the day appears to be just like any other road frequently traveled, you know. However, at night, like many other roads, it gives off a totally different kind of vibe. Timberlake Road runs along the thick forests and wetlands of Sibley State Park that carries several ghostly stories that the locals warn travelers about. Now, strange things being seen on the sides of this road at night have been reported for years, like seeing red eyes blinking at travelers as they drive by. Of course, that's a lot. People seem to see these red blinking eyes, and when you're driving past, how can you tell them are red blinking eyes is what I'm wanting to know. They also see shadows darker than the darkness itself lurking in and around the trees. That's also been reported. The legends go on to say that a woman who had lived in a house near this road, she came home one day to find all of her children murdered.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, beyond devastated from the grisly sight, she hung herself. which it would be
That would be horrible.
horrific to come home and find that. Her ghost has said to be seen wandering the road ever since in search of her children's murderer. There is also a gated cemetery along this road where the woman and her children are said to be buried. Visitors have sighted ghostly children playing around the graves, sounds of dogs growling, and a woman wailing, along with random screams, have also been reported.
Well, next, we are heading out west to Seven Sisters Road in Nebraska.
Nebraska, I went to a ghost town out there.
Ooh, now that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this road, located an hour south of Omaha, has a local lore that dates back to almost 100 years.
Wow.
A brother and his 7 sisters were living in the hills outside of the city, and for some unknown reason, one night the brother came home beyond mad. Some say poisonous thoughts were swirling through his mind from the anger, and it continued to grow within him.
Wow, I wonder what made him so darn angry.
Yeah, I would like to know that as well. Now, this anger only worsened as the night went on until it absolutely overtook him, dragging out one sister at a time to a separate hilltop and hanging them one by one until they were all dead.
Oh.
Now, no one knows what happened to the brother after he did this, but locals warn unsuspecting visitors that strange things happen on the road that curves through those 7 forlorn hills, most specifically at night.
Of course, at night.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Well, many travelers who dared to drive through report that their cars were suddenly drained of power, engines were stalling, and headlights were dimming as if in warning to get away. They warn that these hills truly are not the place to be at night, but if you still insist on visiting, it is said that if you park your car out on the road for long enough, you may just hear the wailing screams of each one of the poor sisters coming from the top of each one of the 7 hills.
Oh, spooky, right?
A little bit.
What are the chances? 7 sisters murdered on 7 hills in the area.
That is true.
Right? Okay. We're going to travel on, and we're going to find ourselves on Cuba Road in Illinois. If you come across the White Cemetery about an hour north of Chicago, it is advised that you just keep on driving and don't stop for anything or anyone. The spirits there have been known to wander outside the gates since the 1820s. Police and other witnesses have reported seeing all different sorts of vanishing objects, ranging from people, floating, phantom black cars, and even a house that was supposed to have been burned down under mysterious circumstances many years ago. Locals say that if you see the house, that whatever you do, do not go in it, because when it decides to disappear again, you will disappear with it and be gone forever.
Now that's a scary thought.
Absolutely. There have been sightings of a woman with a lantern, seemingly looking for a ride, but then she quickly vanishes behind sunken headstones. Her hazy figures have been seen lingering beside cemetery trees and near its perimeter. And with that, folks, we will be back with more Ghost Talk. You're listening to Ghost Talk Radio on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
46 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Ghost Talk Radio with me as your host, Shelly Robertson, and joining me tonight is Kristen Boyd. If you just tuned in, I invite you all to join us in our interactive chat room at WBHM-DB.com, where you can ask us any questions you might have or share any of your own haunted road stories. As we have been talking about haunted roads tonight, some of the most haunted roads in the United States. If you have missed the first part of the show, no worries. You can catch our full show archive on Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, and iHeartRadio at your leisure. Now, there is this one next road that I find kind of crazy. We are going to travel on to what some may say is what nightmares are made of, and that is Zombie Road in Missouri. Zombie Road.
I definitely stay away from that one.
Yes. Nicknamed Zombie Road. Lawler Ford Road is about 2 miles long. It runs through a valley of Forest Oak lands, and it ends near the Merrimack River. Urban legend that tells a variety of eerie tales that include this road being the subject to ritualistic and occult practices which invited inhuman and demonic entities, while other tales tell of those who met their demise by either their own hands or by accident that still roams this road in the afterlife. Okay? Now, some say the nickname Zombie Road, it came from the lore that the railroad workers who once worked in that area, they have been known to rise from their graves and roam around.
Yikes.
So dead railroad workers pulling up out of the ground. Others insist that they've heard old-time music, seeing apparitions, and witnessing unexplainable appearing and disappearing lights. It seems like lights are very popular.
Yes, they are.
Other observers have seen a human-sized shadow figure approach them, then quickly disappears into the darkness, while others have heard inhuman voices, and they've also reported being touched by something unseen. Needless to say, there is plenty of activity to go around on Zombie Road if you want to go out there. Now, I want to witness the zombie apocalypse.
You know, I don't really like zombies that way. I got this thing about zombies.
We just need to go there and see if things start crawling out of the graves.
If they do, get me out of there real fast. Okay, now we are going to talk about a road right here within our own county.
Ah, okay.
Now we find ourselves on Coffin Road in Paulding, Ohio.
The most famous one in the area. That's for certain.
Now along this road once stood an orphanage which tragically burnt down with many of the children still inside.
Mm-hmm.
There is a plaque that is placed in the spot where this orphanage once stood in its memory.
Yes.
Local lore states this fire was not necessarily an accident, that in fact it was started by an old man who truly loathed children.
That's what they say.
It's extraordinarily sad.
Yes.
Well, one night, this man decided to set the orphanage ablaze with all the children inside. Once the fire had started, lore states that he walked down the road and picked a suitable tree and hung himself from it. This tree has come to be known as the Hangman's Tree. Now, visitors of this area have reported sightings of ghostly children and even hearing of their laughter. And that's nice to know that you hear their laughter.
Yeah, they probably didn't even know what was happening if they were burning. Probably happened so quickly.
Oh, I'm sure. However, on rare occasions, the old man has been known to be seen swinging by his neck on the Hangman's Tree.
Wow. Well, you know, they say, I do believe that tree is still standing
That's what I heard.
out there. So Now, folks, let's travel across the pond and cover a few international haunted roads. I just love traveling to various locations in other countries, as I'm sure you all know if you've been following some of our previous shows. So, let's move on to Scotland, shall we? To the most haunted road in all of Scotland. Where does that take us to, Kristen?
Well, it brings us to A75 Kinmount Strait in southwest Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
There have been so many reports and sightings on this stretch of roadway for literally years that have led it to be called the Ghost Road. Now, it all started in 1957. A truck driver ran into a couple crossing the road arm in arm in front of his truck. But when he stopped by the accident victims, they vanished. Then in 1960, there had been reported sightings of various animals such as cats, wild dogs, goats, hens, and other strange creatures, as well as a man with long white hair. He would appear to be screaming, then they would all vanish into thin white air.
Wow.
So over the years, even up to this day, there have been many reports of an apparition of a man which has been spotted on this roadway. Now, some have reported that what they thought hit them, someone only to find out that the man disappears upon impact. Very, very spooky.
I tell you what, Scotland has a lot of haunted places, and I would like to go there just to see some of those castles too.
Oh, that would be...
Oh my goodness,
phenomenal.
right?
Phenomenal.
Next, we are going to travel on to the most haunted roadway in England, and it is the M6 motorway. Over 230 miles of haunted roadway where there have been reports of Roman soldiers marching. Oh, fascinating, right?
Yeah.
And an upset woman trying to hitch a ride, and even a phantom truck driving the wrong way down the road.
Wow.
I know, right? There is even a bypass that was part of this road called the Stockbridge Bypass. And at this bridge, there have been sightings of apparitions of children playing late at night under the bridge. A monk has even been seen, and it has also been reported that the monk has even appeared in people's cars. So he is a ride hitcher.
Another one.
Oftentimes, though, the monk is watching over the children. That's what they say people see. Sometimes the children's laughter and voices can be heard, even when the children can't be seen. Very spooky.
Indeed. Well, next, our travels take us to Ten Mun Road in Hong Kong, China.
China, okay.
Well, this road in China is very heavily used. However, it has not been redesigned to handle modern-day traffic. Now, this road is notorious for frequent traffic jams and wrecks. Reports claim that ghosts suddenly appear in the middle of the road, causing the driver to swerve to avoid hitting the person.
Wow.
Of course, this has led to many accidents and deaths, and some say the ghosts of the crash victims are being added to the already high spirit count. So if you ever find yourself in Hong Kong, please keep a lookout for the phantom pedestrians.
Spooky.
You don't want to run into that.
Well, and you know, China is so populated.
Yes, it is very much.
So this here roadway is probably just literally covered, right?
Okay.
Right? Next, I want to talk a little bit about what's going on here at the old Paulding County Jail in Paulding, Ohio. Of course, we do have the escape games running this month, and this month's theme is the Big Top Circus. This is probably our most fun theme, with all of these circus characters roaming around. During this escape game, players have 60 minutes to escape before they meet their demise. And I will tell you, these escape games are so much fun, and they help us with restoration efforts. here at the Old Paulding County Jail. So if you would like to learn more about our escape games or schedule an escape game session, just go to jailbreakcode9.com, and that's the number 9 at the website. You can read all about our themes, schedule game sessions, and even email the jailer if you have any further questions. We also have the full schedule of events for this spring, summer, and fall that are happening here at the Old Paulding County Jail on our website at 187pi.com. We have many dates for private paranormal investigations as well. All the information for these private sessions are also posted on our website. If you have a team or a group of friends and you would like to experience in a private setting some of the hauntings that we experience here on a daily basis, just go to 187pi.com, look at the available dates, and book your session today. We are also having some special events at the jail this year, which I want to remind you all. It's the most haunted jail in Ohio. Stuff happens here every day. And we like to call these special events the birthday party events. And what they are is exactly that. We are holding birthday party, research, investigation events for all of our resident spirits who we know when their birthday is. We did one of those last year for a resident ghost who contacts us every anniversary of his death, and that was Gary Murray. And I tell you what, the event turned out fantastic. We got some great evidence, and actually Gary seemed really happy about the party.
He did.
It was
a great experience for everyone.
It actually really was. So we have we have some mystical readings nights coming up this season at the Old Paulding County Jail, where we have there'll be tarot reading, crystal ball readings, palm readings, and all of our readers are certified in their craft. So if you'd like to get a reading, just go to our Facebook page. Just type in the search engine 187PI. We'll pop right up. Or go to our website, 187pi.com, and take a look at the event schedule. We'll also be doing a few Paracons this year, too. You can come visit us at those.
Yep.
Now, here's what we have coming up on our wonderful network, WBHM-DB. On Monday nights at 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Paranormal Pride Show with host Denise Pridemore. And on Sunday nights from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Fate Magazine Radio with host Kat Hobson. Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, we have Paranormal Experience with host Kat Hobson. Now, both of these, all three of these shows, actually, we've got some new shows on the network too. So they're all fantastic shows. A lot of good information, some amazing guests. Y'all are going to want to tune in and listen up every night, almost every night. Just tune in at 8 o'clock. So as we come to the close of our show, I want to thank all of you, our listening friends out there tonight, for taking time out of your busy schedules to listen to our live broadcast. Thank you all so much. I hope you all have a great evening and a fantastic weekend. Good night, everyone.
Good night.